What's in a painting? Well, a lot more than most people realise. And I'm going to be talking about the Norman Rockwell painting, Freedom from Want, which some guys at the Centre for Contemporary Political Art have got totally and ignorantly wrong. I'm Graniopteryx. Okay. So these are the 4 freedoms which Rockwell did the series about. Freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. He did all of these in the early and mid, well, in 1943, between 42 and 44, I believe. And it turns out that the Centre for Contemporary Political Art in Washington did a series about that. Before we understand anything about that picture, we have to understand the political position of the Centre for Contemporary Political Art. And I think you'll probably get an idea of their position from this. They don't like Trump. And it says here, defining the art of change in the age of Trump. And so they are coming up with their definition of the art of change, whatever that means. All right, so this was their introductory page. And of course, this is Rosario Dawson, who is being the character here in the freedom of speech. Only this guy in his working jacket is being listened to by a load of people in suits. That's what Rockwell is saying. But this woman, she is definitely not in the same sort of working class category as that man. So they got that wrong as well. But let me just talk about this here. Can I make this any bigger? Oh, here we are. Rosario Dawson, Van Jones and others star in a 21st century remake of Norman Rockwell's famous 4 Freedoms series. It says here, Hank Willis Thomas and Emily Shaw have remade the paintings with a diverse cast to reflect the US. This is in 2018. All right, so their idea is a diverse cast makes things better, rewrites history, changes the past. Well, it doesn't. It parodies the past for sure. And I'm just going to go into that. So this is the original one. You can see it was printed in the Saturday Evening Post, and the colours are very muted. They have bigged up the colours here because they are showing photographs next to it, and they wanted to even out the artwork. That's what's going on. But I'm going to use this because a lot of the detail is a lot clearer. So I just want to go through some of the symbolism in this picture. So there's some symbolism which you might have missed. This is a Thanksgiving picture, but since in Britain the turkey is more or less de rigueur for Christmas, then I'm going to use this as a Christmas picture from our point of view, without the hats. Okay. So here we have a woman who is wearing a dress that is obviously very old-fashioned. The painting was made in 1943. There was a war going on. Fashions had changed. Women, I made a video all about this actually. Women started to wear, well, a bit earlier on than that, they were starting to wear jackets and dresses with a lot of padding in the shoulders. And as I said, you would see there's a very square look to women in the mid-40s, the earlier mid-40s, and that's because they were, well, with these square shoulders, they were literally shouldering the jobs that the men should have been doing up to then, but the men were all overseas in either Europe or in Asia, being soldiers. So women's dresses became very square. Now, this is definitely not very square. So this woman is reflecting the 30s or even the late 20s when she was a young woman. And these people are an American couple. It doesn't look like they've had the easiest of lives. They're not wearing highly fashionable clothes, so perhaps not enormous amounts of money. But they have passed on a growing wealth to their progeny. All of these people are, it appears, their family. And this woman here has a very fashionable hairstyle. In other words, the old couple have worked hard, saved their money, educated their children, and their children are living a much better life than they themselves had lived, the parents had lived. And they have this huge turkey, which just shows that they have money now to eat enormous meals. Now, what really interested me when I saw this picture, when I was looking at it, was the celery. Celery isn't a thing we eat at Christmas or even Thanksgiving here in the UK. And yeah, people do have Thanksgiving parties occasionally when they have American friends and they want to show them some, they want to give them a bit of a party or whatever. But no, celery isn't the thing. Celery is what you put in soup, basically. Braised celery is what vegetarians eat. Okay, so here we have this celery. Well, I did some research into celery and it turned out, of course, celery is not native to America. In the 19th century, they developed techniques for growing it and it became increasingly popular. And it said in the thing I was reading about celery that it reached its peak of popularity in the 1930s, which is about where these people started their married lives. And it was considered quite exotic and it was a bit of a treat. And you always had it up to about the 30s. It was considered, something that you had on festive occasions. So you're dating this couple from the fact that they've put celery there. Of course, we have luxury fruit here as well. There's some unknown vegetable in there. I suppose that's cranberry sauce there. And you look at the people. Now, those two people are talking to each other. They're really glad to see each other, aren't they? They're really enjoying the conversation. And this fellow here is inviting you in. That's his expression. Here, come in and enjoy the party, the Thanksgiving, the freedom from want. All right, so we have this. And here's another younger child, obviously the child of this child, who is the child of these people here. So that's the picture. We have a group of people here transferring generational values, the respectable working class or lower middle class couple who've worked hard and have put their children through school so that they're more educated and they have better lives, and they're passing that on to their younger generation. And they all know each other. They're probably all relatives. First of all, I have to tell you the sad news that as of today, the 22nd of December, the Christmas competition is closed. Sorry about that. I'm just reminding you now that I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds, and also on Twitter and Gab. All the links are in the description, together with links to donation sites. Of course, I'm always grateful for donations, but the best way you can help my channel grow is by clicking like, sharing, and of course, subscribing. Merry Christmas. All right, so let's get back to this one. And let's have a look at what do they call it? The Centre for Contemporary or Political Art or whatever. So there's this. Now, look at this. They have the celery there. It has no significance now. And I don't think anyone even tried to work out what the celery was for in the earlier picture. If they'd have really thought about it, they'd have put something like a pomegranate there, or something quite exotic, something, or a mango, something along those lines. But anyway, now look at these people. They are, it appears, not related. They're friends, this friends thing. And in 20 years' time, when they've changed jobs and moved on, probably none of them will remember the names of any of the others. They're not passing anything down. They're on an equal footing. Well, you could say that. The equal footing is good. But they are not related. They're not passing anything on to each other. They are simply having a fun meal. And then there's another point. Here's they did a series. Here you are. Okay, so you see the people are swapping round. So they can't work out who's supposed to be the one providing the feast. And then there's this one, another guy from, you'll see him here he is. And I don't know what that is. Some sort of a souffle that didn't work, or a large loaf of bread. I have no idea. But it's not a turkey, is it? And, well, OK, so they can't even make up their minds about what sort of a meal they're serving. And certainly they can't make up their minds who's boss. Here's the next one. Another set, again, well, not a turkey, and a group of people all sitting round, and there appear to be fewer people here. No. Yeah, it's all the same. So, there's that guy with a different hat on. There is no cohesion here. It's all in bits. Now, there's nothing wrong with friends sharing a meal. And that's fine. If they showed them all sharing a meal, that would have been lovely. But it's not this. This is not about the meal. This is not about them having fun, although it's a good meal, by the looks of a huge meal, and people are having fun by the looks of things. But that's not what the picture is about. The picture is about values that are being transferred from one generation to the next to the next. And in this one, it's about a bunch of people who are good friends and like to get together to have a meal, but not necessarily transferring any of their values. I think the expectation is they will all have the same values, and that's why they're sitting round the same table. And that's as far as it goes. They come with their values. They're not learning anything from each other. Right, so that's what's, in my opinion, that's what's wrong with these pictures. This is supposed to be diverse, but it's not diverse. It's disconnected. These people are sitting around the same table, but they're disconnected from each other. Completely different from this. And the previous pictures I showed you, apparently the people making this don't realise that. Now, this picture has its own validity, and they should have left it alone. They shouldn't have tried to reproduce it, because it is not reproducible. Except for one thing. Jake Bro mentioned, so you can blame him, I'm using his statistics. He said that millions of Americans live 20 miles from where they were brought up. I mean, within 20 miles, and within about 10 miles of where their mothers live. So there's a huge amount. You've got the idea from this that all Americans are young metropolitans, but no. According to the figures quoted by Jake Bro, no, they're more like this. But these people don't get a look in anymore in America, in cultural terms. They don't get family in that way. And one show that did actually show family, close working class family with aspirations was a show called Roseanne. And it was about a working class family headed by the matriarch of the family, played by Roseanne Barr. Now, she was caught in a Twitter spat when she made a comment about somebody, and it was taken badly. It didn't need to have been taken badly. There are many right-on comedians who make similar comments about other people, but they don't get torn down. When Roseanne's show was torn down, I suspected at the time that it was more to do with the way she portrayed the American family than with that Twitter comment she made, which it turns out was not the evil that it was portrayed as, but she was completely cancelled after that. But they wanted to get at that comedy, and the show came back without her, and it dragged its feet for a season or so, and then it was cancelled. It wasn't the same thing. And it was because it was trying to be right on after that. So, yes, this is about a family. This is not. And the fact is that more Americans actually live in that sort of a family than the entertainment industry will give them credit for. But they don't want to, because that sort of family had rock solid morals most of the time, and lived a certain way, and what the media are trying to show is people living this way, this disconnected, floating way. Yeah, I mean, here are a bunch of people having Thanksgiving dinner, or Christmas dinner, or whatever. You don't see their parents there, do you? Right. Till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share of these people.